Shemoth. Exodus chapter 32. And when the people saw that Moshe was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Haran and said to him, Arise, make us mighty ones who go before us. For this Moshe, the man who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, we do not know what has become of him. And Haran said to them, Take off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people took off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them to Haran. And he took them from their hand, and he formed it with an engraving tool, and made a molded calf. And they said, This is your mighty one, O Yisrael, that brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And Haran saw and built an altar before it, and Haran called out and said, Tomorrow is a festival to Yahuah. And they rose early on the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Go, get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Mitzrayim have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf, and have bowed themselves to it, and slaughtered to it, and said, This is your mighty one, O Yisrael, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And Yahuah said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and see, it is a stiff-necked people. And now, let me alone, that my wrath might burn against them, and I consume them, and I make of you a great nation. But Moshe pleaded with Yahuah his Elohim and said, Yahuah, why does your wrath burn against your people whom you have brought out of the land of Mitzrayim with great power and with a strong hand? Why should the Mitzrites speak and say, For evil he brought them out to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from the heat of your wrath, and relent from this evil to your people. Remember Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, your servants to whom you swore by yourself, and said to them, I increase your seed like the stars of the Shamayim, and all this land that I have spoken of I give to your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And Yahuah relented from the evil which he said he would do to his people. And Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and in his hand were the 2 tablets of the witness, tablets written on both their sides, written on the one and on the other. And the tablets were the work of Elohim, and the writing was the writing of Elohim engraved on the tablets. And Yahusha heard the noise of the people as they shouted, and he said to Moshe, A noise of battle in the camp! But he said, It is not the sound of those who shout of might, nor is it the sound of those who cry out in weakness, but the sound of singing that I hear. And it came to be, as soon as he came near the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. And Moshe's displeasure burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf which they had made and burned it in the fire, and ground it into powder, and scattered it on the face of the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. And Moshe said to Haran, What did this people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them? And Haran said, Do not let the displeasure of my master burn. You know the people, for evil is in them. And they said to me, Make us mighty ones who go before us, for this Moshe, the man who brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim, we do not know what has become of him. And I said to them, Whoever has gold, let them take it off. And they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and this calf came out. And Moshe saw that the people were let loose, for Haran had let them loose to their shame among their enemies. And Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp and said, Who is for Yahuah? To me! And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves to him. And he said to them, Thus said Yahuah, Elohim of Yisrael, Each one put his sword on his side, pass over to and fro from gate to gate in the camp, and each one slay his brother, and each one his friend, and each one his relative. And the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moshe, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. And Moshe said, "You are ordained for Yahuah today, since each one has been against his son and his brother, so as to bring upon you a barakah today." And it came to be on the next day that Moshe said to the people, "You have sinned a great sin, and now I am going up to Yahuah, if I might atone for your sin." And Moshe returned to Yahuah and said, "Oh, these people have sinned a great sin and have made for themselves a mighty one of gold. And now, if you would lift their sin, but if not, please blot me out of your book which you have written." And Yahuah said to Moshe, "Whoever has sinned against me, I blot him out of my book. And now go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. See, my messenger goes before you, and in the day of my visitation I shall visit their sin upon them." And Yahuah plagued the people because they made the calf which Aaron made. Shemoth, Exodus chapter 33. And Yahuah said to Moshe, "Come, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought out of the land of Mitzrayim to the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, saying, to your seed I give it. And I shall send my messenger before you, and I shall drive out the Canaanite, and the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey, for I do not go up in your midst, because you are a stiff-necked people, lest I consume you on the way." And when the people heard this evil word, they mourned, and no one put on his ornaments. And Yahuah said to Moshe, "Say to the children of Yisrael, you are a stiff-necked people. Should I go up in your midst for one moment, I shall consume you. And now take off your ornaments, and I shall know what to do to you." So the children of Yisrael took off their ornaments at Mount Horeb. And Moshe took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tent of appointment. And it came to be that everyone who sought Yahuah went out to the tent of appointment, which was outside the camp. And it came to be, whenever Moshe went out of the tent, that all the people rose, and each man stood at his tent door and watched Moshe until he entered the tent. And it came to be, when Moshe entered the tent, that the column of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tent, and he spoke with Moshe. And all the people saw the column of cloud standing at the tent door, and all the people rose and bowed themselves, each one at the door of his tent. Thus Yahuah spoke to Moshe face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. And he would return to the camp, but his servant Yahusha, son of Nun, a young man, did not leave the tent. And Moshe said to Yahuah, "See, you are saying to me, bring up this people, but you have not made known to me whom you would send with me, though you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my eyes. And now please, if I have found favor in your eyes, please show me your way, and let me know you, so that I find favor in your eyes, and consider that this nation is your people." And he said, "My presence goes, and I shall give you rest." And he said to him, "If your presence is not going, do not lead us up from here. For how then shall it be known that I have found favor in your eyes, I and your people, except you go with us? Then we shall be distinguished, I and your people, from all the people who are upon the face of the earth." And Yahuah said to Moshe, "Even this word you have spoken I shall do, for you have found favor in my eyes, and I know you by name." Then he said, "Please, show me your esteem." And he said, "I shall cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I shall proclaim the name of Yahuah before you, and I shall favor him whom I favor, and I shall have compassion on whom I have compassion." But he said, "You are unable to see my face, for no man sees me and lives." And Yahuah said, "See, there is a place with me, and you shall stand on the rock. And it shall be, while my esteem passes by, that I shall put you in the cleft of the rock, and cover you with my hand while I pass by. then I shall take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen. Shemoth, Exodus chapter 34. And Yahuah said to Moshe, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I shall write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. And be ready in the morning, then you shall come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there on top of the mountain. And let no man come up with you, and let no man be seen in all the mountain, and let not even the flock or the herd feed in front of that mountain. And he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moshe rose early in the morning and went up Mount Sinai as Yahuah had commanded him, and he took 2 tablets of stone in his hand. And Yahuah came down in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name Yahuah. And Yahuah passed before him and proclaimed, Yahuah, Yahuah, in El, compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in kindness and truth, watching over kindness for thousands, forgiving wickedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the wickedness of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the 3rd and the 4th generation. And Moshe hurried and bowed himself toward the earth and did obeisance and said, if now I have found favor in your eyes, O Yahuah, I pray, let Yahuah go on in our midst, even though we are a stiff-necked people, and forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. And he said, see, I am making a covenant before all your people. I am going to do wonders such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahuah, for what I am doing with you is awesome. Guard what I command you today. See, I am driving out from before you the Amorites, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Guard yourself, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. But break down their altars, and destroy their pillars, and cut down their asherim. For you do not bow yourselves to another mighty one, for Yahuah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous El, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones. And one of them invites you, and you eat of his slaughterings, and you take of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters whore after their mighty ones, and make your sons whore after their mighty ones. Do not make a molded mighty one for yourselves. Guard the festival of Metzoth. For 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, in the appointed time of the month of Aviv, because in the month of Aviv you came out of Mitzrayim. Everyone opening the womb is mine, and every male firstborn among your livestock, whether bull or sheep. The firstborn of a donkey you ransom with a lamb, and if you do not ransom, then you shall break his neck. Every firstborn of your sons you shall ransom, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you work, but on the 7th day you rest. In plowing time and in harvest you rest. And perform the festival of Shemoth for yourself, of the firstfruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 times in the year all your men are to appear before the Adon, Yahweh, the Elohim of Yisrael. For I dispossess nations before you, and shall enlarge your borders, and let no one covet your land when you go up to appear before Yahweh your Elohim 3 times in the year. Do not offer the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of the Pesach remain until morning. Bring the first of the firstfruits of your land to the house of Yahweh your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Write these words, for according to the mouth of these words I have made a covenant with you and with Yisrael. And he was there with Yahuah 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread, and he did not drink water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. And it came to be, when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the 2 tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hand when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone, since he had spoken with him. And Aaron and all the children of Israel looked at Moshe and saw the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. And Moshe called out to them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moshe spoke to them. And afterward all the children of Israel came near, and he commanded them all that Yahuah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moshe ended speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But whenever Moshe went in before Yahuah to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out. And when he came out, he spoke to the children of Israel what he had been commanded. And the children of Israel would see the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone, and Moshe would put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with him.